So I've seen all sorts of Souls-related challenge runs. Every Souls game has every single challenge you can think of that someone has done some sort of flavor of. The question that I was curious about was less about whether a run can be done. They can, they basically always can. It was more about comparing one type of run across the series. In that vein, I'm going to compare the difficulty of a Sorcery Only run across all 5 Souls games. Yes, I'm including Elden Ring. No, I will not be taking questions about this at this time. So, let's do this in order and start with the first game, Demon's Souls. While I make my way to the Nexus, let's talk about Demon's Souls. Specifically the PS5 remake, because that's obviously what I'm playing. Sorcery Only means starting with either the Noble or the, whatever the other spellcaster is. I choose Noble, because while its spell is weaker, it is also cheaper, and you start with the Fragrant Ring. I'm not especially worried about Demon's Souls. There aren't a ton of magic options, but the game is the easiest of the 5 games, and magic is hilariously overpowered. But here we are at the Asylum Demon. I briefly wonder if I have enough MP to kill him without waiting for the slow MP regen of the Fragrant Ring, which immediately doesn't matter because my first dodge is bad and I die. With my death, I am bound to the Nexus and I can head into Boletaria. So the immediate problem I'm worried about is that the Fragrant Ring's MP regen is very slow. Like 20 seconds of waiting for a single spell cast. That, combined with no new spells and inability to level before beating the first boss, is a problem. Plus, I don't have any way to restore MP until I get access to Latria, so I'll be relying on the Fragrant Ring a lot. Fortunately, magic is busted in this game, so magic-based murder is super easy. The magic isn't faultless, though. The cast time is bad, the recovery is also bad, and the tracking doesn't exist. So if an enemy is moving anywhere other than directly towards you, or standing still, you will miss. After some falling about, I reach the Phalanx Demon, the first brick wall in this run. She, and the pustule she spawns, are incredibly weak to fire. In a normal run, just chuck some firebombs and you're done. But I have one spell. It deals magic damage. Attacking from the front or back deals the same damage to the pustules, and, other than the Fragrant Ring, I have no way to restore MP. This fight is a nightmare. Not because it's difficult, but because it's boring. The pustules take 2 shots to kill, and if I try to focus fire the demon, she heals. I have no choice but to slowly kill off every single pustule before I can finally deal with her. I have a lot of time to consider my poor decisions. Should I have started as the other spellcaster to have Flame Toss, a spell these enemies are weak to, but then I might not have enough MP, and I have no way to regen MP at this point in the game. Finally, I kill all the pustules and then take a nice, long rest. With no pustules remaining, she literally cannot do anything. With the first boss dead, I have finally unlocked everything I need to get this run really going. New spells from Frake's Apprentice, and I can finally level up. Equally important, I can start going through Latria to get some spice, so I have a way to restore MP. Wait, is that spice? Surely he started carrying that after first boss, right? He didn't have that from the beginning of the game, right? With levels in hand and some new spells, I dive into Latria and get my ass kicked, because I'm underleveled so my spells don't deal enough damage. The tight corridors do help funnel enemies into my attacks, but they also make it harder for me to target and kill enemies at distance. I eventually get annoyed and give up on this for now. I do remember, though, that there is a free Crescent weapon in World 4. While I can't use weapons, I can equip one in my offhand to make use of its passive benefits. The extra MP regen Crescent weapons give you isn't great, but every little bit helps. With Crescent weapon in hand, I head back into Latria, and it still goes poorly. It's almost like a tiny amount of MP regen didn't solve my actual problems. Then I go into World 2-1 for some reason. I don't really remember why. All this place gives is smithing stones, which I don't care about. Catalysts and armor can't be upgraded in this game. Finally, I just go to World 1-2 to deal with the Tower Knight. This would normally be my next step in a normal playthrough anyway. I just thought a different order might benefit a Sorcery Only playthrough. I was wrong. But at least now I know that. And everything here dies very, very easily. Except the wolves. They run fast and jump to attack, so even if they're coming straight for you, you still might just miss. Takes some doing, but I make it to the Tower Knight. Heading in, I am briefly concerned. Killing the archers on the side isn't difficult, but the Tower Knight's spells are pretty strong, and getting into melee isn't wise considering how slow spells are. My plan is to try and target the head and just shoot it repeatedly. Which ends up being completely unnecessary, since the Flame Toss spell ends up dealing great damage and breaks his ankles very quickly. Like, hilariously quick. This fight ends up being far and away way easier than a melee fight. This will set the tone for the bosses to come. Getting back to World 2-1, everything ends up being very easy. Everything in this area is slow and takes excellent fire or magic damage. The wolves in this area suck for the exact same reason they sucked back in Boletaria. The boss is initially challenging until I remember it's easier to dodge its swiping attacks in melee rate than dodge its shooting fire from a distance. So I get right up in its spider jowls and just dodge, fire, dodge, fire. Now that I've gotten some levels under my belt, Latria is much easier. I was worried that things would have some sort of magic resistance in this area. They don't, or Flame Toss doesn't care. I thought the Idol Demon boss at the end might resist my spells, but she doesn't. And using the key on this cell finally unlocks my boy, Frake. This gives another spell vendor who can turn my boss souls into boss spells. I don't know who thought of the cartwheeling skeletons, but it is a pretty great design. Very annoying to deal with, admittedly, but some backing away in spells made it much easier. The boss here is fine. He's not that difficult in melee, and he's even easier from a distance. Just mind the spells. Why is the tongue that, though? On to World 2-2, why do these beetles have so much health, and there is no good way to damage them? Why are these tunnels so windy? This boss is actually usually pretty tricky, mostly because his hitboxes are questionable? Not with spells, though. No hitbox in the world will save you from getting sniped from the other side of the arena. This run is absolutely flying now that I have more spells and more levels. This fight sucks. Magic only makes it worse. You have to hide from the boss and break these pillars to progress. If you fail, he will one-shot you with a punch or his fire breath. I do quickly learn that I can shoot the next set of pillars with magic, so I don't have to slowly chip away at them while he murders me. This works, until it doesn't. The last set of pillars are up these stupid stairs, which means I can't snipe them from a distance. Believe me, I tried. It takes a while, way too long of a while. but I settle on using Flame Toss because it breaks the pillars faster than the other spell I was using, Flame Ring, and Water Veil, and I just tank the Fire Breath. And it works, actually. I survived the one hit I needed to get the second magic ballista. Who put these ballistas here? Why hasn't this dragon just smashed them? Or the platforms they're on? Anyway, one world fully complete. Beating the Dragon God demon unlocks the next stage of Boletaria. I wouldn't normally do this quite yet, but there is a nice reward for me at the end. Freeing Yuria unlocks the other boss spells Fender. This area is pretty winding, but not too bad. I even got invaded. And I won the fight. I'm gonna say it's because I'm the better fighter in PvP, and not because spells are broken. Cool fire sword, though. I then take forever to unlock Yuria because I don't know how to read, bumble around a bit, free her, and buy my first evil sorcery, Ignite. It's great. It's like Fireball, but next to me. I finally have a melee-ish option, which I take into the boss fight and stomp the Penetrator. Now that I have a melee-ish option, I'm really flying through these worlds. Let's boogie. Huh, I didn't know Leechmonger could heal itself. Didn't save it, but that's good to know. Wow, Ignite really just destroys everything. I can even one-shot the jumpy boys. Nice. Nothing here resists fire. Boss is annoying, but just to avoid the falling to my death. I do switch to offline mode before going into the crazy monk fight, because invaders can heal and I don't have the patience for that bullshit. NPCs don't know how to deal with Ignite at all. Another world down. Wow, Ignite can even one-shot the Reapers and Rolling Skeletons? Amazing. The boss fight sure does happen. Shooting the floating rays with soul spells is easier than engaging with the gimmick of this fight. Why does this boss take so much magic damage? Yay, a poison swamp. And that leads into a plague swamp. Peak FromSoft. Boss is super easy though. First try at the Estrella boss fight and I get stuck on some geometry trying to get around Estrella's boy toy. Second time I die of plague babies, which is a gross sentence. Third attempt I discover her boy doesn't have 100% fire resist. That's a mistake. Forgot you can talk to Estrella and she'll just die. Mood. So I shoot her to death with magic. And this is the last level of the game, and then we're done. Wow, these red phantoms suck. Let's try my new plague spell. The damage is low, but it doesn't appear to have a set duration, so that's great. Now, this boss is a bit annoying. He has a number of ways to get up in your business, several ranged AoE attacks, and a grab that drains your levels. With spells taking time to cast, I invest in warding to increase my defense and... Wow, that dealt no damage. I'm in robes, and the final boss needs to get in like 10 hits to kill me. Just amazing. Shockingly, he does die to fire. Takes a bit, he's no slouch on the defensive side, and probably not normally on the offensive side, but the final boss is dead and down to the big demon. I kill the real King Alant, who's just a slug king at this point. And then I murder the Maiden in Black. I've never actually done that before, and I might as well get the achievement on camera. And that's the end of Demon's Souls. As expected, that was pretty easy. Sorcery is brutally overpowered, and nothing seemed to have any meaningful resistance to magic and fire. I had a couple snags, especially at the beginning, but those were more me being stupid than actual difficulty in the run. Curious where this will end up in the Sorcery Only ranking, but for that we need to proceed to the next game, Dark Souls. And I'll have that video out next Friday. What is the other starting spellcaster class? Oh, that's right, the Magician. Wait, does the Magician start with 6 spice? What the fuck?